Today I'm making all natural deodorant. This is a product that we sell quite a bit of. I make them in small batches. Everything I do in my shop is done in small batches. This allows me to control quality and make sure that I have a consistent product. I also don't have access to huge machines for doing thousands and thousands of jars at a time. So this is how I do it. But we're going to be making ourselves some deodorant today. So we want to start off by getting all of our waxes and oils together. And I'm starting off, I'm going to be using some coconut oil. And regardless of how much you want to make at one time, coconut oil is 20% of the batch weight. Okay, it's about 275 grams. I had some extra that I had saved. I'm using that right now. All right, so set that aside. And then next, we're going to be using, I think we're grabbing Kokum butter, K-O-K-U-M. Yeah, that's what we'll be using. Kokum butter is a hard butter. It's a lot like cocoa butter in that sense. I mean, it's really hard, so it's going to allow for a more consistently hard product in the end. It's not going to be soft, because that's not what we want. But I use 5%. So in this batch, I'm using about 70 grams, so. All right, after the Kokum butter, I'm going to be adding in some shea butter. Shea butter is 10% of my recipe, and this recipe is 135 grams because I'm making about 60 ounces or something like that. I forgot how big my batch weight is, but pretty large size because I'll be getting about 18 tubes when I'm finished. But I use shea butter. This is shea butter from Baraka Shea Butter. I like their stuff a lot. It's organic. It's produced by women in Africa, and it helps their tribe to have it. So. Next is jojoba oil. I use that at 5%. So again, for this recipe, that's 70 grams. And then I'm going to be using some cetyl alcohol. That's C-E-T-Y-L, cetyl alcohol. And this is what allows the product to kind of penetrate your pores and get in and prevent, bacteria from building up and allowing you to, stay odor-free most of the day. So it's an important ingredient. We use 15% in our recipe. So for this one, it's 205 grams. And then you could use beeswax, but I prefer candelilla wax. I think it creates a better product. It provides a little bit of slip. So I put in 5%, which is about 96 grams. So. And I also like the color when it's done. It's just a nice, soft, creamy color. So. All right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to get it into my double boiler, and I'm going to get it melted. While that's melting, I'm going to get my powdered ingredients ready. I don't use baking soda in my deodorants because it causes a lot of irritation to the skin and messes with the pH. So I use magnesium hydroxide powder. It creates enough of a binder that it replaces the baking soda pretty well. I'm also going to be using arrowroot powder. So I use 10% magnesium hydroxide, 15% arrowroot. So, so I'm going to just get those here sifted together. Here's that arrowroot powder. It's, I recommend wearing a breather when you're using either one of these. They tend to be light. They tend to get airborne pretty easily. So, but those are the only powdered ingredients I use in my deodorant. All right, I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to get the last of my liquid ingredients together. I'm going to start off with some Daikon Seed Extract. A lot of body care products use silicone. I don't use silicone. I like that Daikon Seed has a silicone feel, but it's not a silicone product. It allows for the deodorant to go easily on the skin, so that's why I use it. So I use 5% in my recipe. So let me add that to my measuring container here. You're not going to be heating this up or anything like that. It's just going to get poured directly into the oils. And then I'm going to add some vitamin E, or what they call tocopherol, and I'll get that in here. I use like maybe 5 to 10 grams total, so not quite a half ounce. And then I'm going to get my essential oil in that I'm going to use as a fragrance. This blend happens to be lavender and patchouli, so that is what I'm going to be getting into this particular jar. So that was the patchouli oil. That's why it's a little dark like that. This is Bulgarian lavender. I like the smell of that. It's not as harsh as some of the 40-10 blends that exist out there. So, and then we're going to set all this aside. Okay, and that's the vitamin E, the tocopherol mixture. So just adding that in. And then we are going to just set all this aside so we can mix our oils, this mixture, and our powders together. Okay, so when I make my deodorant, I like to use one of my soap molds to hold them up. That way they don't fall or doesn't spill down the sides. It's just easier. So, but I've got my melted oil mix, and I'm going to add in my other liquid ingredients. I just mix them together and then add it. I don't let it get too cool because I want it to remain liquidy, but I can keep it around 170 degrees. Okay. Because this is an oil-based product, you don't need to use a preservative either. So, although I suppose you could, but I don't. And people have also asked me what the shelf life of this is, and you need to look at your ingredients, and the ingredients will determine the shelf life of your product. All right, so I'm just going to add in that powdered mixture. I realized I should probably add my oils to my dry mixture, not the other way around, but I pour from this jar and I don't pour from that other bowl, so I was just a little backwards today. I'm just going to mix those up, get them ready to go. Once I get them mostly incorporated, I'll take my stick blender and just make sure everything is good and incorporated. All right, so we'll speed it up here. We don't need to watch me doing this for 20 minutes. Anyway, so that's ready to pour now. So I'm going to just take each tube, I'm going to fill them up, put down a few paper towels in case I make a mess. Drawback to not having a machine to pour is, you do it by hand, you do tend to spill, right? I have a pretty steady hand, but it is what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to fill up each one of these tubes. So I'm just going to speed this up so you can watch that. So each one of these tubes will end up weighing approximately 4 ounces, so they're pretty easy to do. So I just fill them up. And then this is what the final product looks like. So I made about 60 to 80 tubes today. And that's that. So if you like this, give us a like and follow. Thanks.